The Russians drew their red line in the sand, and we've crossed it. The red lines were drawn and enumerated by Dmitry Medvedev, former president of Russia, his second in command of the Security Council, by Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, by the head of the Russian lower house in the Duma, by many pundits who are official mouthpieces, by the way, of the Russian government through RT, the Russian Today News, and other Russian news sources, and even by Putin himself. They have all warned us not to send heavy hardware, especially not to send tanks to Russia, to Ukraine. Yet we are doing just that. So is this red line real? Will there be a new red line? What are going to be the consequences? How can this play out? And will it actually help or get there in time to help Ukraine? We're going to go all into that, my friends. This is Greg Allison with Green Greg's coming to you today on the 26th of January, 22. Time on deck is 21:47 hours Central Daylight Time. Of course, I'll be uploading this. You'll see it later. Now, that's how recent this information is good. So, guys, what you need to know is this. The United States and the entire West has decided to send tanks, a good number of tanks to Ukraine. What we're sending over there is the United States has decided to send 14 M1A2, not the A1, A2 tanks. Our latest tanks, the only thing that's not going to be on them will be the highest tech reactive armor technology, which gives those tanks a lot of security. But they will have a lot the most recent avionics, electronics, which are used for such things as the high-tech night vision scopes, the commander scopes, and things like that for those tanks. So if these fall into Russian hands, critical technology could be lost. But hey, the Russians are right now negotiating with the Taliban to get a lot of that equipment that we left over there, to include those high-tech night vision systems, the 550,000 machine nugs, which so you can't have, but the Taliban could have them, and anybody else can buy them on the world market except for people here without proper licenses, of course. All right, we'll talk that in another video, my friends. Listen, what's happened here is we are definitely going across the Russian lines, red lines. The Russians will react in some fashion. They have threatened catastrophic war, catastrophic actions like the West has never seen. It may not be the first time we've heard that, but at some point, they do have a red line. Where is that red line, and what will they do? How will they react? Well, that's very debatable. A lot of people throw out a lot of different things, anywhere between direct nuclear war. We were a little worried about that when Zircon missiles were off our coast recently, and cyber attack. And what I worry about most of all is grid down through EMP. And in fact, I worry about that more than I worry about a direct nuclear strike, unless, of course, that would include an EMP, which it naturally would. So, guys, let's talk about this. What you need to know is that these missiles, there's missiles too in play. Oh, yeah. There's talk about sending the ground-launched small-diameter bombs, which could have a range of 100 miles, which could actually reach Crimea. There's another red line. Now, so there's several red lines that are being crossed, and now on top of that, we're talking about sending F-16s. So what, between that and all the economic attacks upon Russia, it's like we're poking the bear every way we can, but we're trying to get it to die of 1,000 cuts, and we're not pouring it all necessarily on at one time, kind of like cooking a frog. But somewhere in there, Russia's got a threshold, and they tell us primarily their main threshold is what they consider an existential threat to the state. Now, sometimes they say their territory, like, can you take anything that's integrally Russia, that's Russian territory? But they've redefined what that is since they have annexed certain oblasts of what many had considered to be part of Ukraine. Donetsk, Luhansk, Crimea, and a couple others. So there you go, my friends. Do those oblasts want to be in Russia? Do they not want to be in Russia? They voted. But, there's a lot of debate about that. I'm not going to fall into that discussion right now, because what we're going to look at is what can go down. What can go down is that, for one, Ukraine says they need 300 tanks in order to push the Russians out. 300 tanks to be combat effective. Right now, we know they're getting 31 American M1 tanks, which have some limited applications there because they will be hard to maintain. It will take long to train the operators. So there are logistical challenges to using an M1 tank in Ukraine. A lot of high-tech systems, the spare parts aren't readily as available, the munitions aren't readily as available. And then there's the Leopard tank. The Leopard tank is quite interesting. They will be getting 14 of those from Germany. Now, the Leopard tanks come in versions A4, A5, A6, and A7. They're getting A6 from Germany, so it's actually one of the more advanced tanks that they're getting from Germany, 14 of them. Currently, Ukraine is expecting to get about 100 tanks from other Western NATO allies within the system that have the Leopard tank. So, but they're wanting another couple of hundred on top of that. They may get them because everybody seems to be eventually giving Ukraine what they're wanting. The problem for Ukraine is this. This is not a silver bullet. For Ukraine, there is a dilemma. It's going to take months to get these tanks there, especially the American M2 tanks, M1A2 tanks coming from the United States. It's going to take a while to get them there and get them in place. Even if they're coming within Europe itself, it's just going to take a while to get them there and get them in place. And it's going to take a while, they say months, to get all these tanks in place. On top of that, especially with American tanks, it's going to take a lot of training time. Training to operate, just training to maintain logistics of these tanks, especially the M1 tank. That's not trivial. I worked in logistics some in the Army. I know logistics can be technically challenging. All right, all that said, we're talking probably this fall before crews would be sufficiently trained to actually mount offensive operations with these tanks. Defensive operations and offensive operations are two different things. It's easier to defend a fixed position than to have the full skill set to go on maneuvers and prosecute an invasion. And we're already talking much to get them anyway. Here's the dilemma Ukraine faces. Ukraine needs to win and win fast. Time is not on the side of Ukraine because we're talking about a war of attrition. Russia is up the game. Russia's talking about mobilizing 1.5 million more troops. Yeah, Russia's already lost apparently more troops in Ukraine than America did in World War I. That's what's been alleged. Wow. Of course, a lot of propaganda. It's hard to know the truth in all these things, but that's what's been alleged, that Russia's already lost more men. But what it shows is Russia's got a commitment, a deep commitment, because if they've lost that many men here and they're going to recruit, raise another 1.5 million, and with Putin committing 1/3 of the nation's GDP to the war effort, oh yeah, they're talking total war now. They're not just, and with that kind of commitment, that's a long-term thing. That is something that probably goes beyond Ukraine. And therein lies the risk for NATO. The Baltics, Poland, yeah, those countries are probably puckering up pretty good on that news. And that may be why they're so anxious to get armaments in the way of Ukraine, because they would like to stop the Russians there. Now, I'm not picking sides. I've told you why Russia in the past would want to go out and fill the gaps with their troops, forward position troops, and gaps to prevent invasions of their country. And these gaps being the geographical gaps between like the Carpathian and the Baltic Sea, the Polish Strait, or down beneath the Carpathian Mountains and a few other places in Asia. That's what Russia tries to do, and historically has tried to do for ever since the empire began. That's their object. And that's what they're trying to do again, because this is probably their last best chance at that. And so they may consider any failure in that action to be an existential threat. So what do they count as an existential threat? They've got very crucial military naval bases on Crimea. I've often thought that the loss of Crimea would be an event for which would provoke them to nuclear war. And I say nuclear war loosely here, because an EMP attack might suffice their purposes. In fact, it would satisfy all their purposes without doing full nuclear. But an EMP attack, we won't be nuked. Yeah, you'd probably rather be nuked, because you'd get put out of your misery faster, because it's still going to, an EMP will kill more people in America than if you could have a nuke war without an EMP, it would not take out near as many people as the EMP. The EMP won't kill anybody directly initially, but in the long run, you're going to die a long, suffering, miserable death. 9 out of 10 people. That's why there's no cakewalk with an EMP. An EMP prevents us from hitting back, especially the EMP super weapons. Oh yeah, I got an interview I just did with John Hollerman. He's an expert prepper. He's the deputy director of the U.S. Task Force on National and Homeland National and Homeland Security, the organization founded by Dr. Peter Vincent Pyne, and he used to serve as an instructor in the military for survival, evasion, rescue, and or serve is what they call it. I have to go look it up. You know, check the video. At the end of that video, we give the best prepping advice ever given on any prepping channel ever. You need to watch that video. If you ever watch any video on YouTube, watch that one. And I'll probably put it up to go premiere Friday or Saturday, most likely Saturday. Although I might do it Friday. But John Hollerman, you got to see that video. You got to see it, especially toward the end, because it's the best prepping advice that's ever been put out on any YouTube channel, by any prepping channel ever, bar none. All right, that's it. Guys, Ukraine has to win, though. See, Russia's got their objectives, but Ukraine has to win fast if they're going to win, because this war of attrition will not favor them. The more they're in the game, the more people they lose, they can't replace them. Russia's got a bigger population. And I've said it many times, and I'll say it again. It's like the war between the North and the South. The South was winning in the first 2 years. Shoot, Southern generals and troops were bang, 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 winning, looking great, doing good. They lost the war. They even lost battles where they killed far more Yankees than Southerners got killed. The problem was the South couldn't afford to lose people because the North had a lot more. That's what Ukraine's facing. That is what Ukraine's facing. The only thing that's different is that maybe the U.S. can choke off Russia. All the embargoes might choke Russia off to kind of limit their capacity to this, but I really don't think that's in the cards. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think it's going to work. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. And there's those that want us to charge into Russia or certainly support Ukraine at a much higher level initially. So some people don't want to poke the bear. They want to get the axe out. Yeah, they want to really, or the javelin, they want to really slice that bear up in a hurry. I'm not taking sides here, guys. I'm just putting it out there to let you know what is happening in the world, the backdrops. But guys, the bear at some point bites back. At some point, it's going to launch something. What is it? I would say at least an EMP. That's what John Hollerman agrees with, but it could be a full-fledged first strike nuclear event. So a lot to think about, guys. And this may be what we're coming. So this is why you need to prep and prepare, guys. This is why you need to prep. I'm going to show you some articles real fast here in a minute. But the bottom line is that Russia has put red lines down. Now, since it's going to take months for those tanks to roll into Russia, that they might not act on it, even if those are their true red lines. They may not act on them immediately because it's going to take months for all this stuff to get in place. And then once it's in place, it's going to take months, maybe into fall, for these tanks to roll. The problem is this. I said that Ukraine needed to win fast. It may be too late for them to fall. It may be too late. Russia's planning a spring offensive. So is Ukraine, actually. Ukraine needs a spring offensive. If they want to wait till these tanks come in, they may be out of steam. They may not have the wherewithal, the people, to push things forward. I don't know. Or maybe Russia will have built up to such a point then that you can't push them back. How long is it going to take them to build up that 1.5 million man army? I don't know. Or how long is it going to take them to make that 1.5 million man army effective? Maybe it's a better question. Because Russia's got a lot of junk material. They got a lot of junk tanks. They're sending a lot of junk and ill-equipped troops to the front. In order for them to be really effective, they need to do better with that. But then again, that's how they won against the Nazis. That's how they won against Napoleon. They didn't have anything but people to throw at the best tanks and best trained soldiers in the world. But they kept throwing people at them and kept throwing people at them and kept throwing people at them. And even the Germans couldn't withstand the onslaught. So they eventually lost at Leningrad and other places because the Russians just kept throwing cannon fodder, people at them. That's what Russians do. And Russians do best. And that's how they've always won. Watch out, Ukraine. That's their strategy. All right, so I think if Ukraine don't win big and win fast, they don't stand a chance. So can they wait till they get these tanks in place? I think it's going to be challenging. I think there'll be challenges. And knowing that, Russia might decide to just bide their time. They might say, okay, we thought out there, America's still just junk in there anyway, dang it. But they may not go and directly attack us over that. directly initially. But what happens when they take Ukraine? They still haven't got quite to that Polish Strait yet. They still got a little bit further to go. Oh yeah, that's their objective. What will they do next? Are they going to go for it? So maybe tell us that they only want Donbass. Of course, y'all told us they weren't going to go in Ukraine in the first place. We will see. This is a lot playing Russian roulette. I kid you not. Let's look at some articles here real quick. Let's have a quick see at this stuff, guys. I'm going to do a share screen. Bing, 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 bing. And this is what you need to see, guys. Biden administration fine with Ukraine rolling U.S. tanks into Crimea, according to a Biden senior official. Interesting how they didn't want to be named in this article, but this comes to the American Military News, which is usually a pretty interesting news source. They usually have some interesting articles in this American Military News. I'm going to change this around a little bit so I can click through it. And from the Russian press, TASS, Russian diplomat calls on West to prevent nuclear provocation with Leopard tanks. So they're calling this very serious from the side of the Russians there. If you don't believe me, that's it right there. So they're still talking nuclear provocation. This is the Russians saying, not me. So you're gonna say, I agree. Well, this is a Russian news source right here, TASS. You know what TASS is? That's a Russian news agency. I kid you not. And here's another Russian news agency, RT. So and here they're obsessed with these. NATO's best tanks are going to Ukraine. Well, that's almost true. Almost true. A6 instead of the A4, A5, but it's not the A7 for the Leopard 2. And for the M1A2, oh yeah, they're getting M1A2. They just aren't getting the highest armor technology. But guys, if you don't think it's time to prep, you're not paying attention. Because there's a good chance that the Russians will launch cyber attacks on us, maybe take out our power grid, and who knows, they may go full-fledged, full strike on us, according to what Peter Vincent Pry used to teach us. So guys, Dr. Pry, this is a pretty good deal here. You need to see my video with Hollerman too, guys, tomorrow or next day. So whole package here, guys, 3 months of food with a good discount, man. I mean, holy shoot, that's not even $200 a month. Imagine eating for $200 a month. You get 2,000 calories a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. 6 of these buckets with all these other things added in will make you a winner. I mean, look, this is the extra things they're throwing in here now. All kind of prepping supplies, stainless steel cooking kit, mess kit, 2 space blankets, one for you and one for your honey, or one to make a tent with, and the other to snuggle around in, right? Waterproof match kits, grub tools. That's like a eating multi-tool. Drinking water purification tablets, playing cards, so your mind will have something to do. Like I play solitaire, and you won't have the grid down. I need some cards to play solitaire with. All right, yeah, they got a cool little stove here, lightweight stove you can burn wood in actually, and of course your water filter. So yeah, when you look at all the stuff you're getting, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. And that little stove, that's a nice little stove that it actually burns twigs and stuff. So you can actually make fire and boil your little coffee and food and heat this stuff up. This is the kind of food that's coming in the packs, guys. That's what you're getting. Including drinks, and fruits, and puddings. Oh yeah. So there you are. 2,000 calories a day, a lot more than what the competitors put out there. Oh yeah, and I got some videos about how to use all this stuff. Yeah, here's that little eating multi-tool. Yeah, it's even got a wrench and a spoon and a fork. It's a spork. Anyway, guys, there you are. Enough said. Go to prepwithgreg.com. Prepwithgreg.com to get those specials. Let's move on. Bing, 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 bing. Okay, come on. Euro News. Here, let's see. Yeah, they're talking about the A6 version of the tank. It's got a 70 kilometer per hour, 450 kilometer range, 120 millimeter smoothbore cannon. And of course, it's got the NATO standard 7.62 millimeter machine guns. The cool thing about the tank itself is that there's a lot of spare parts for that tank. There's a lot of munitions for this tank. Germany is concerned that this will have some negative effect on their overall military, what they call the Bundeswehr. I probably didn't say that last syllable correctly, but ich spreche kein Deutsch, so which means I don't speak any German. Nicht, nein. So let's see. Pyne, oh yeah, Pyne is a little bit okay. Pyne. Anyway, guys, let's see here. No, it's Bitchin's a little bit. Pyne is not. Pardon me. Like I said, ich spreche klein Deutsch. All right. So yeah, they're not a silver bullet for them. But guys, here we are. We got people, saying, hey, there should be no negotiating with Putin. NATO must mobilize full military might and be ready to fight. So these guys are saying NATO should jump in with both boots. This is an opinion piece, an op-ed. This is what some people are pushing for. Who knows that with the way things are going, they might get their way. What would that result in? What would that result in? That's what some people are pushing for. And I know people that say that would work, would be fine. Don't worry about the riskies. They can't do nothing. Well, you tell me. This is about the small diameter bombs, 100-mile-an-hour strike weapons. All right, guys. So these are things you need to be aware of. What could be coming? Yeah, talking about them hitting Crimea. And the battles over there are intensifying in Baltmut and Volodar, however you say that. Yeah, getting pretty tense. Yeah, grow your own food, grow your own garden, so that you can recycle your kitchen waste and lawn clippings and food back into your garden. Get worms, guys. You don't have to go to the store and buy stuff. Go to greengregs.com and get worms. Yeah, this is what you'll land on the home page. All you gotta do is come here and click the buy worms page. But I may suspend sales in a few weeks because I've got to pay attention to my herd. My herd got a hard hit by the winter. I may have to shut down soon. I don't know, guys. Anyway, guys, here's the other thing you need to be aware of. We are running out of ammo. In fact, we are so critically short. We've gave so much stuff to Ukraine that the Center for Strategic and International Studies has said that on key precision-guided missiles, we could run out in a week if we went to war with China over Taiwan. And many other munitions, we could run out in a week. That is serious. So maybe China's loving this war that we're having over there and how we're supporting Ukraine. They may be just loving it. Because the longer this goes, the less we'll be able to counter them. And maybe they think they can just walk right into Taiwan. I don't know, guys. You tell me. What do you think about that? What do y'all think about that? And of course, now the Admiral Gorskov is going into the Mediterranean. And some people are worried that they may fire into Ukraine from the Mediterranean. Of course, it's going to have to cross some, those missiles have to cross some NATO countries to get there, like Greece and Romania. So there's concerns about that brewing right now. Of course, then we'd be talking about conventional weapons, I suppose, I would hope, on those Zircon missiles. Anyway, guys, that's what I got for you today. For right now, I got more stuff, but I will save it for later. The bottom line, the takeaway point is that we've crossed the red line. Things can happen. Russia is not happy. They're very mad. How will they react to it? What will they do? At what point does that red line get them to actually pull a trigger? One that's aiming something at us. Even right here at home in the good old US of A. If they put an EMP attack on us, it's the worst thing you can imagine. 9 out of 10 of us or more would be gone in a year. Slow, painful, dark, ugly process. Yeah. All right. And you got to see my video. What to do about it? What do you need to do about it? Watch my video with John Hollerman. That's what you need to do about it. I'm just going to tell you that now. Watch that. Toward the end of that video, we lay it out. But you need to watch the rest of it so you can get the build up. And we lay it out, guys. So, my friends, we can't survive. The purpose of my channel is to survive, thrive, and stay out of the hive. But you got to keep your eyes wide open, head on swivel, and that's why I bring you this news, so you can be aware. Because that's what we talk about in that video. The first thing you need to know is you got to be aware of what can come, what can happen, and how to deal with it. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm helping you with that, guys. So please subscribe, bang the notification bell, and click all. And with that, I'm going to say thank you for watching. Frigate.